Hello, friends. Let's talk about poetry today. And the poem which I'm intending to discuss about it, the name of this poem is The Chimney Sweeper. So, this Chimney Sweeper is written by William Black, a famous poet, is a poem. This poem is published in 1789, collection of songs of innocence. The poem is told from the perspective of a young chimney sweep, a boy who has been sold into a labor by his father. The sweep meets a new recruit to the chimney sweeping gang named Tom Decker, who arrives terrified. After the speaker tries to reassure Tom, Tom dreams of an angel who sets the chimney sweeps free, allowing them to play in the green fields and then ascends to heaven. This dream seems to suggest that if the boys are obedient worker, they'll get into heaven. Implicitly, though, the poem takes issue with this idea, suggesting that it is a form of introduction for the church. The companion poem of the same title, published in the Songs of Experience. So, the summary of this poem, The Chimney Sweeper, start like this. I was just a little boy when my mother died. My father then sold me into the chimney sweep profession where I even knew how to speak. Since then, all I have done is sweep chimneys and sleep covered in dirt. A new boy arrived one day. His name was Tom Decker. He cried when his curly lamp like hair was shaved off. I told him not to worry with the shaven head. Its beautiful locks wouldn't have to get dirty from all the chimney dust. Later that night, Tom fell asleep. He had a vision in a dream. He saw row upon row of a dead chimney sweeper in black coffins. An angel came along with a key and unlocked the coffins, setting the sweeps free. Then they frolic in a green fields, bathing in a clear water, and basking in the sun. Naked, clean, and without their work implements, the sweeps rise up to heaven on cloud and play in the wind. The angel tells Tom that if he behaves well, God will take care of him and make sure he is happy. The next day, Tom woke up, he got out of bed before dawn and went with our bags and chimney brushes to our work. It was a cold morning, but Tom seemed fine. If we all just work hard, nothing bad will happen. So, the chimney sweeper, the theme of this poem is hardship and childhood. The Chimney Sweeper is a bleak poem told from the perspective of a chimney sweep, a young boy living in 70s London who has to earn a living doing the dangerous work of cleaning soot from people's chimney. The poem makes no efforts to romanticize this life, portraying it as intensely impoverished and tough. Indeed, the poem argue that this is a kind of exploitation that effectively robs the children of their childhood, stealing their freedom and joy. Early on, the poem establishes a sense of hardship in the lives of young poor boys in 18th century London. This is a task that requires much imagination. Chimney sweeping was terrible, dangerous, and exhausting work for children. The reader quickly learns that Speaker mother is dead and that he was sold by his father into labor. Tom Dacre probably had a similar upbringing. Now he's had his head forcibly shaved to improve his effectiveness as a sweep. Both children then are forced into a miserable world. Indeed, chimney sweeping makes up pretty much the entirety of boys' existence. They sweep all day and sleep in suit, both in terms of being dirty when they go to bed and in the way their daily hardship affects their dream. In fact, in one of these dreams, that Tom Dacre has the vision that contains the poem Key Message. This dream, however, started bleakly. He imagined 10,000s of sweeper, Dick, Joe, Need, and Jack. The young sweep then is fully aware of the realities of his life. It's going to be short, brutish, and nasty. The poem then offers a brief glimpse of what childhood should actually be like, which is full of freedom, joy, and nature. Like in this poem, then down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run and wash in a river and shine in the sun. Then naked and white, all their bags left behind, they rise upon clouds and sport in the wind. This section of the poem is effectively a pastoral, a representative of idyllic nature, the kind of instinctive behavior of depicted here. The poem implies is what the boys should be occupied with, not getting stuck in people's chimney, working all day just to be able to eat. This vision seems to emerge from Tom's imagination instinctively, as though Tom knows deep down what childhood should be like. All in all, then the boy's hardship combined with the innocence of this part of the dream casts doubt on the truthfulness of the poem's conclusion that the Swifts only need to do their dirty duty in order for God to take care of them and make them happy. So, another theme which is the religion and redemption, the theme of on the surface of it, The Chimney Sweep is a poem about salvation from a life of hardship. Young boys forced into working's London's chimney look to religion as a way of finding hope amid the misery. This hope, they seem to think, comes from Christian religion. No matter the suffering in earthly life, each good boy who is well behaved and dutiful will be rewarded with joy and God for his father. However, the poem questions whether this is actually true and suggests it might just be a convenient way of making those boys into obedient little worker. On a surface level, Tom's vision undoubtedly does offer a brief glimpse of hope and salvation. An angel visits him bringing a message from God. This angel frees the dead boys and they are allowed to frolic freely in nature from ascending to heaven. This part of the dream seemed legitimate and rings true to Blake's idea about childhood, that it should be free, imaginative, and joyful up there in heaven. The children get to play, to be kids again. They sports in the wind. Religion then appears to provide solace in this life through the promise of joy and freedom in the next. This religion fulfillment is linked to being a good boy, and here it is possible to interpret the poem message in two ways. The poem could be taken at face value, being good result, access to heaven, but the poem also implicitly considered how religious belief is useful for getting people to accept the hardship in life. So the poem thus concludes with a sense of uneasy resolution, as though Tom's suffering is somehow solved by the angel's visit. Both he and the speaker wake up the next morning, pick up their tools, and head out to work almost as if they are adult going back about their daily business. If all do their duty, they need not fear harm. So the poem concludes, but it's not difficult to detect a note of sadness in this movement, as though the truthfulness of this hope and Tom's dream is only temporary. Poem ending can also be seen as a lake of resolution. Then it's unclear how long the promise of religious salvation can stave off the realities of suffering and hardship. Indeed, if read side by side with Black's Chimney Sweeper. So, this is the poem uh, of the Chimney Sweeper by uh, the well famous poet William Black. And I hope this is a very beautiful, very uh, uh, exemplary, and very lessonable poem. Like when my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, weep, weep, weep. So your chimneys I sweep, and in sort I sleep. Like this in line 5 to 8, there is little Dom Dacre who cried when his head, that curled like a lamb's back, was shaved. So I said, hush, Tom, never mind it, for when your head's bare, you know that the suit cannot spoil your white hair. This and so he was quiet, and what that very night, as Tom was sleeping, he had such a sight that thousands of sweeper, Dick, Joe, Need, and Jack, were all of them locked up in coffins of black, in line 13 to 16. And by came an angel who had a bright key, and he opened the coffin and set them all free. Then down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run, and wash in a river and shine in the sun. In line 17 to 20, then naked and white, all their bags left behind, they rise upon clouds and sport in the wind. And the angel told Tom if he had be a good boy, if he have God for his father and never want joy. In line 21 to 24. And so Tom awake, and we rose in the dark and got with our bags and our brushes to work. Though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. So this is the poem by William Black, The Chimney Sweeper. A very beautiful poem. Thank you very much.